Welcome back, artists. Today we are going to start painting our eggs, and we are going to use temper cakes. So our temper cakes are dry right now. Like if I put my finger on there, I don't get anything. We have to use the water to start them. You want to pick the color that you're using, and then you're going to add some water to it, to that space, to that shape, and then you're going to swirl. Now, when you are picking your colors, you want to make sure that you're not using colors that aren't going to show up very well. So like this, I have purple, right? And then I have some white. It might be hard to see, but I did some white work in there. So I'm not going to want to use purple because then that's going to make these lines sort of disappear. So I want to use a color that's going to help those stand out. I think I'm going to go with maybe red for this one. So I'm going to get some water on my brush. I'm going to swirl it on the temper cake. I want to notice how it's just the bristles that are touching it. I'm not using the metal part on the brush. The metal part of your brush should never touch the paint or the paper because you're pressing too hard then. Now notice how the bristles of the brush now look red. So that tells me that I have my paint on my brush. Now I'm going to go over and I'm going to paint this whole part. And the nice thing about the oil pastels is if I use my tip and I go close to the edge, then it's not going to go over. But if I paint right over my oil pastels like I did with the white here, then it sort of pops through. And you can see the stuff that I colored, even though it's a little hard to see it right now. Now do you notice how my paint's starting to get a little bit lighter? The red is looking more kind of pinkish. What you can do when that happens is you can add more paint to your brush. Okay, and we add more paint by dipping and then swirling. Notice how I didn't clean out my brush because I'm using the same color. I just dipped it quickly in the water, and then I can go back and get this pink part a little more red. And when I go right over, it shows up. Now, when we did our drawings, we worked on symmetry. We want to think about that same part when we are painting. So I'm going to use red here. I'm going to do red over here as well. So again, loading my brush, using my tip, making sure I stay in the edges. Right, I'm touching that purple line, but I'm not going over it. Or I go slow on the outside, making sure I stay in my lines. And then I can go faster on the inside once I have this all done. So I can go a little bit quicker, right? Because I know where I'm going to be stopping. All right. And now I'm done with that color. Now, anywhere else I want to do some red? I'll do some red over here in this green part. So I'm going to save myself some time and move over to my other egg and do red over here. Notice how I'm holding my brush almost straight up and only the tip is touching the paper. If I push down too hard with this brush in this small spaces, the color is going to go where I don't want it to go. I'm working really hard to stay in my spaces and make all the white go away in there. Okay, now I notice it's getting a little bit lighter. I'm going to get a little more water, swirl, and then I can come back to my color. Then again, I did this one. So guess what? I'm going to want to do this one. Also notice how I'm turning the paper so that I am making this a little bit easier on myself. I don't have to reach all the way across the paper. I am painting very close to where I'm getting my paint. My helper hand is holding the paper to make sure it doesn't move on me while I'm working. It's hard to do a good job on a moving target. Again, gentle pressure, filling in the spaces. Get a little more paint on my brush because it's starting to get pink. And now maybe I'm done with red. So now it is time to clean up my brush. I'm going to put it all the way to the bottom and I'm going to tap it. You can see how tapping it gently on the bottom, separates those bristles, gets the color out. And now I'm ready to move on to another color. I'm going to use yellow in this area here. So again, I'm going to add some water to this color because this one hasn't been used yet. I'm going to swirl it. Look for bristles that are turning the color of the paint, and then I can go in between my colors. Gentle brushing, using only the tip. If I do it over here, I'm going to want to do it over here. And the oil pastel does a really nice job of making sure those paints stay where we want them to. Maybe I'll do a little yellow. Maybe I'll do like every other one of these yellow. Okay, and I'm just gonna continue my painting very carefully until I make all the white go away.